You are listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin. To master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Once you walked in a forest of splendor in which everything you did and everything you thought was aligned. It is possible at this time to begin to return to the old knowledge. Intuitive healer and manifestor Julia Griffin is here to talk about this unique time in history when all sentient beings, animals, plants, trees, and the earth are intent on creating this change. The wolves awakened her to the most incredible light, which opened gifts and brought knowledge that she longs to share. You are creators, and you are born to be creators of beauty, possibility, and joy. Join Julia on a journey into a beautiful and magical world where amazing possibilities exist. Let us help open the door. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening with Julia Griffin starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin, and you're listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour and let us help you experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. For those of you who don't know me, I awakened with wolves. When I met a wolf, it talked just like people talk, and they taught me to read the energy of the heart. I can intuitively hear plants, animals, and people. I became an intuitive healer and writer as a result, and you can find me at onetrueself.com. Our guest today is a real treat. She's a wonderful person and always has incredible ideas, and she's well known, so let me tell you about her. Pamala Oslie is a consultant, best-selling author, visionary, professional psychic intuitive, medium, and aura expert. She's appeared on ABC, CBS, NBC, The View, Dr. Oz, The Ricky Lake Show, Hallmark's Home and Family, Coast to Coast with George Noory, Gaia with Lisa Garr, and hundreds of other television and radio shows. Pam's also spoken at the TEDx Talks, the International Forum on New Science, Fortune 500 companies, and many seminars for professionals in psychology, education, health fields, and more. She's written the 5 successful and popular books: Life Colors, Love Colors, Make Your Dreams Come True, The Infinite and the Truth, According to John. She was awarded the Holistic Transformational Leader of the Year Award by the Global Association of Holistic Psychotherapy and Coaching. For nearly 40 years, she's had a very extensive clientele. She had the #1 show for 11 years at a popular Santa Barbara radio station. Pam's the founder of Aura Colors, a site designed to help you create success, joy, and fulfillment. She also developed Love Colors. At any rate, she's an amazing guest, an amazing person. So welcome, Pam.
Hi, Julia. Great to connect with you again.
Same here. I always like it because there's such a wonderful wave of energy between us.
Yay.
Yay. And we're going to talk about some of the things that are going on right now, the energies and feelings that we have about them. So my first question is, what have you been shown through your psychic and mediumship abilities about where we're headed in the future?
Well, the first thing I want to tell people is everything that I was shown about our future is extremely positive. We are going through a shift, as everyone can tell, and I'm sure all your listeners have heard this over and over and over again from other people. But, excuse me, we're going through a shift. It's like the old is falling apart, that new can emerge. But they showed me some amazing things in our future. And I'm going to tell you 3 things. First of all, they showed me 2 things because I asked, well, 3 things because I asked questions. I went, why does it feel like everything's going backwards? I mean, my goodness, we're losing, rights and everything feels like it's going backwards. We're making progress. And why is it going backwards? And they showed me a slingshot. And they said it's going to appear that everything's getting pulled back and back and back and back. And when it lets loose, it is going to fly forward so quickly, it's going to make our head spin. And we won't even believe how fast it's going to go. So that was the first thing that made me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing I asked was, why does it feel like we're so divisive? I mean, there's always been, this side and that side and them, whatever, them against us, but it just feels so extraordinarily divisive these days. And it was so weird, Julie. They showed me a cell, like a biological cell.
Mm-hmm.
And they said when it's getting ready to grow, it divides, and then it divides again, and then it divides again, not to go off into different directions, but to become something larger. So when, oh my gosh, we're going to turn into something bigger, something greater, something more expansive than we've been before. So that was a cool image to be shown.
Yes.
And then I went, okay, I've done readings for people. I've been able to see the future through readings with other people. And they showed me it's going to radically change. Everything is going to change. It's where we're headed is it's no longer going to be top-down rulership, like the top of a pyramid. Everybody, the few people at the top are going to have everything, and then the people down at the bottom are like the slaves at a
Right.
pyramid. It's not going to be that way anymore. It's going to be, we're coming more into self-sovereignty, waking up, realizing who we really are, and owning our own power and not giving away our power to other people. They showed me the government was going to change. You understand? It's no longer just like top down ruler. Almost like we're going to, in the future, we're going to choose teams of people, and it's going to be more that groups of people. We make our own decisions, and we choose who's going to handle what in the future. So it's not going to be like a president or a king, and it could be a different form, Julie. That fascinated me. A different form that we understand is even democracy. It's going to be like self-ruled. We're going to be more awake. We're going to be more aware. And people went, how's that ever going to be possible? And I looked at it and I went, we used to have kings and pharaohs. And then we went into democracy where people, before it was like kings and pharaohs, they were born into leadership. They were born into royalty. And then the rest were slaves and, lackeys. And then we shifted over to democracy. Well, some places did, but a lot of places did, where we get to choose who we want to lead us. Now, when did that happen? And how did the kings and pharaohs feel about that, right? It's like, how
Mm-hmm.
did that shift happen? And then they said, we don't know what we don't know yet. So it's going to be more of an awakening, more of a, we're self-ruled, we're self-dominion, we're self-realized. So we don't need somebody at the top running us. Does that make sense to you?
It makes perfect sense to me because I think if we're in alignment with our heart and
Yep.
nature and our intuition,
Yep.
why do we need anyone? We're doing what we're in alignment with all things that are good and beautiful.
Yeah. So it's going to be more compassion, more heartfelt, like you said, more connection with each other, more realizing that we're all connected, we're all one, and that whatever we do to another, we do to the whole, we do to all of us. So it's just a completely different. And when this is going to happen, I don't know, but they showed me education's going to change. That the medical stuff is going to change. And people are so afraid of AI, but I was shown that one of the positive benefits of AI is it's meant to free us up so that we can do the things we love to do, not work like little slaves. We weren't created to be slaves. So AI do all the grunt work, all the dangerous stuff. I actually, Julia, I heard a tech, like a real high level tech person saying within the next 2 to 5 years, every household will have a robot doing things like cleaning the house and doing the dishes and doing the cooking. And it's like, what? But remember, years ago, they said, when computers first came out, that eventually every household was going to have a computer. And we're all like, nah, come on, how's that going to be possible? They're so expensive. And now we've got our computers on our watches and our phones, So all these things are shifting, and it's shifting quickly, although at times it feels like it's not shifting fast enough. The other thing that I saw when I was doing readings, like I did a reading for my niece, and I saw her traveling on a plane. And Julia, I looked down and I went, oh my gosh, there are no borders. There are no
Mhm.
borders. People were being able to live where they wanted to. They didn't have to show passports. And again, it's like, how is that going to be possible in our lifetime? It does feel like it's in our lifetime. And I went, the first time I went to Europe to visit my sister who was living over there, they had borders in every single country. So when I went from, Germany to Austria to Switzerland to Italy, we had to show our passports at every border. They had guards at every border crossing, and you had to change money in all the new countries. But now with the EU, people in Europe, there's no borders, there's no boundary. I mean, you don't have to show your passport, you don't have to change your money. And people that are in the EU can live anywhere they want. So that's where we're headed. I mean, I have clients that like lived here and they wanted to move to France so badly, but it's like, oh, I can't because they only allow me to be there for 3 months. Or people, I had clients in England that, oh, I want to live in the United States, but I can't because of all the rules. It's like, so when people get to live where they want to live and then just feed into that system, people, it's just going to be happier and more freedom, more compassion, more love, more kindness. And I mean, I'm old enough to know that we've gone through some remarkable changes. And believe it or not, even though everything looks like it's falling apart now, which it is, um, I was around when we went through the Vietnam War, went through the civil rights movements where people were being killed, like a lot. Women didn't have rights. My mother, a single mother, divorced mother, she couldn't own property. The man had to own the property. She couldn't own a house. She couldn't have her own checking accounts. Like, oh my gosh. So things have radically changed from when I was a little girl. And people, believe it or not, I believe, Julie, I'm sure you're the same. Even though there's some bad actors out there or some louder voices, people are actually more compassionate, kinder, more aware, less, what's the word I want? Less prejudice. I mean, I know there's prejudice out there, but compared to what it was when I was growing up, oh my gosh, it's so much more aware. Not in certain pockets, not with certain people. And you see how all that's coming up for us to see that so we can heal it, so we can shift it. So the future I've been shown is very positive, but not just on that level, on a spiritual level, on an awareness level where the ultimate picture, and I'm jumping way ahead here, Julia, and at the end, I want to show a very powerful tool about what I've been shown too, about how to shift our lives now,
Mhm.
like this minute, this moment. But it's so positive in the future. And it's like, I'm sure you've heard this before, creating heaven on earth, that we're aware souls, excuse me, aware souls living on this beautiful plane. And I know I hear so many people going, oh my gosh, I never want to reincarnate again. I don't want to come back to this planet. It's too hard. But we are waking up to the point where more and more people are starting to realize who we really are, that we're these divine, amazing beings. I'm sure you've heard this before, these divine beings having a human experience, more and more realizing that I mean, I've written books about this, Julia, where we have psychic abilities, we have ESP, we can telecommunicate, we can remote view, we can see energies, we can heal our own bodies. All of that is coming. I mean, the fact that I can do all of those things right now, if I can do them, that means every human being on this planet is capable of the same abilities. Everybody's going to choose them. Not everyone's going to believe in them, but it where the consciousness is. I'm sure you've heard that before, Julia, from a lot of your guests, correct?
Not a lot. I would say that I heard that 10 years ago. Everyone was saying that. Now it's like people are not so sure. I would say one thing about the gifts, if people really want to change, if you're with a group of people who can see a beautiful future, you're creating it.
Yeah,
The
that's
other
right.
part is if this is true, then we ought to be able to use our consciousness to end war, to change the weather, to change what everybody on this planet is experiencing. And what I'm hoping is that we're not too far away from that.
Well, we're going to get into some very interesting, I think, conversation about how, first of all, we are infinite beings. I'm just going to go for it, okay, Julia?
So,
We're
fine.
infinite beings. That means there's no beginning, no end. We are immortal, we're infinite, we have all these amazing abilities, who we really are. We came from a place of pure love, pure bliss, pure potential, pure all that is, pure whatever you want to call it, heaven, God, um, unlimited potential dimensions. And we chose, individually, we chose to come down to this three-dimensional, restrictive, limited experience for the experiences. I mean, we weren't being punished. I have a whole different definition of karma when people go, oh my gosh, I'm on this karmic wheel and I'm suffering now because of something I did in a past life. I call those other lives because I talk to people on the other side, people who've already crossed over. I talk to guides on the other side. I talk to higher source. Um, and there's no such thing as time on the other side. So all the lives that we ever have had are all happening now. They're all happening simultaneous. So we're not being punished for something we did in another lifetime. We may be choosing to balance something out that we experienced in another lifetime, like we experienced being a pauper, a very poor street urchin starving to death. We may have chosen that in another lifetime, and in this lifetime, we're choosing to have a different experience to balance that out. But the reason we're on this planet is to have experiences. It expands consciousness. It expands all that is. It expands the life force. It's how the universe or God or all that is experiences itself. Because when you're on the other side and you're all with one and everything is just who you are and everything is blissful and perfect and full of love, you don't know. Well, I've heard it explained that you don't know you're the light if everything is light until you
Hmm.
go into the darkness and then you experience yourself as a light. So we chose to come here to have these experiences. We want to see what it's like to taste ice cream or walk on the beach or fall in love or have a baby or ride a bike or ride a horse. I mean, we wanted to have these experiences for the experience. So you're not being punished here. You don't have to come back here. You've chosen to come here because this place is amazing and it's beautiful. But it's like when people cross over, they all explain that this life here is like a dream and the other side is more real. So
Right.
we're basically
I've heard that too.
our consciousness making all of this up dreaming, we're having experience, but it needs to feel real so we can have the real just like that's why we go to the movies or we watch movies on TV or things on TV. We want the experience. And you go to the movies so you can feel something, so you can learn something, so you can experience something. Um, if you are sitting in a movie theater and somebody's having this real experience about watching this movie, whether it's a horror movie or a drama or a comedy or a nature thing, whatever, and people are really into the movie, if you were to nudge somebody and go, this is just a movie, that's all fake, those aren't real people. I mean, they're just actors. They're not really having that experience. People would get mad at you. It's like, stop it. I'm enjoying
Well,
the
but they wouldn't
experience.
agree with you in the moment because I know from seeing children's films with my friends, sometimes we would all cry at the end, whether it was happy or sad.
Yeah. Yeah, so we want the experience. We're here for the experience. What we've turned it into, unfortunately, is we've forgotten who we really are. And so we've kind of gotten lost. It's become a nightmare for a lot of people instead of this beautiful experience of smelling flowers and tasting good food and being in love and learning how to really love and appreciate each other. Instead of that, we've turned it into a fear-based drama where we feel like we have no choice and no power. That's a lot of what's going on right now, Julia, is us waking up to, are we victims or are we powerful? Because one of the things that has to go away is the consciousness of victimhood. So that's why we're experiencing it at big time. But have you noticed a lot of people are rising up going, no, no, I'm not settling for this. I'm not going to be a
Mhm.
victim. We're not
That
doing
and
this.
exceeding their personal limits. There's been a lot of that too.
Right. So we're wanting to change things. We're wanting to change this nightmare into a full movie. I'm
I
gonna drink
agree
water
with
here.
that. A good movie.
Uh-huh.
an exciting one.
Right. So that's what we're doing right now. So I'm hoping to help people see that this place is not a prison. It's not a nightmare. We're creating it as these amazing spiritual beings that create through consciousness. That's the other gift that I see coming out of AI, Julia, is now scientists are having to define what consciousness actually is
Hmm.
because they don't know what it is. They're learning that it's not generated in the brain, it's outside of, it's a consciousness that's beyond our bodies. And they've been ignoring it. But now with AI coming in, now they're like, oh my gosh, we have to define consciousness because can AI become conscious? Can it become like a human? Can it think for itself? Can it do all that bit? So now they're really seriously having to look at defining and understanding and exploring consciousness. That's the new frontier, not space. Space, yeah, we can do that, but it's consciousness. And so when we start realizing that our consciousness is what's making a difference, and our consciousness, our thoughts, our beliefs affect our emotions. So you understand, we can go into the nightmare, or we can choose to wake up and go, wow, if all of this is my creation, my dream, people still don't believe that we create this reality.
Hmm.
We still create our experience of that reality. So someone can see the glass half full or half empty. It's still our choice of how we're choosing to experience it, right? But boy,
Right.
we have really made it convincing out there. Oh my gosh, but the movie has to be convincing, right? For
Or
us to be
we
able,
can change the movie. We can change the dream. Although I did see something interesting this morning in Japan. They were watching movies, and when the ocean would come in, it was actually throwing water over the people.
yeah. Well, that's where we're going. I saw years and years and years ago, I did a reading for was going to go into the entertainment business, and I saw holographic television. We're going to have
Hmm.
holographic television where it's right in the middle of our rooms, three-dimensional in the middle of our rooms. And then, of course, we're going into the holodeck. A lot of stuff that was on Star Trek and Star Wars, we're actually creating those.
Yeah,
Meaning,
because people loved those things and those ideas. That's why whatever you love and whatever you're afraid of, those two things tend to become created.
right, right. So, I'm gonna jump. Well, you tell me if we have to take a break, Julia, because I don't
We
want
have
to.
a little longer.
Okay.
One thing I was going to ask you was, do you see AI changing? Because the way that it is right now, the data centers, Georgia's fighting them. The data centers use and pollute a ton of water.
Right. We're gonna go beyond that. It's not gonna be
Good.
those. Some a tech expert say what we're gonna go into is quantum computing. And
Hmm.
quantum computing doesn't use that kind of water that AI does.
Good.
So it's going to shift. It's
Hmm.
not sustainable to use that kind of water in those huge data centers. I mean, I got to go to NASA, Houston, where they sent off the very first man to moon, right?
Yes.
And the entire room was floor to ceiling, wall to wall computers. And those were the computers that sent off the rocket ships. Now that exact same computing power fits our phone,
Right.
right? So before
Yeah.
it was huge, huge computers. The same thing's going to happen with the data centers. It's all
Hmm.
going to shift.
They'll
Um,
shrink.
yeah, it's going to change. It's going to change forms. Technology is changing so fast. I don't even know how tech people are keeping up with it. So,
Another thing, and I wondered if you had had this vision. I've seen nature coming back, like they're
yes,
destroying a lot of it right now. But I've had dreams and I've had these visions in my mind where these great, huge trees came back in like a few days and everything was back the way it should be.
yes. Well, did you notice during COVID where people
Yes.
were in their homes? It's like, oh my gosh, nature flourished. It was so cute. We actually had wildlife coming to look in our windows, almost like
Mhm.
we were the zoo animals, going, "Are you guys okay in there? Where's
And
everybody?" Oh yeah, nature. Yeah, it's going to change, but all the that's being now, it's just getting people that this is not sustainable. We have to shift.
because it just amazed me that in what, 3 or 4 months of people staying inside, nature just came back. And it
Yeah.
was incredibly beautiful. It looked totally different.
Yep. Yep. It can change. Nature is remarkable. I mean, and nature, by the way, also is part of us, Julia. We are manifesting it. We're creating it. It's taking it. It reflects our energy. So all the fires that are happening out there is because of all the anger. All the flooding is out there is because of all the grief and the tears. It absolutely demonstrates or manifests off of our energy.
I
We're
agree.
connected.
And I thought the earthquakes around the Ring of Fire were sort of saying, like, wake up,
That's
calm
it.
down.
That's
Yeah,
it. Well, everybody's, I mean, the fear, the shaking, the anger, the trepidation, the earth is like, okay, got it. And it's reacting. It's like as above, so below, the microcosm to the macrocosm. We're all
right.
connected. It's all part of, it's an extension of our energy. It's all connected. So
Think how
when we
wonderful it will be when people realize that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, aren't you seeing more and more people waking up to, I mean, I'm seeing more and more people having compassion for animals and the research going on. It's like, wow, elephants do feel, so do dolphins. They think, monkeys,
Mhm.
crows. I mean, animals are intelligent. They have feelings. That's a major shift from, my uncle had a farm and he treated animals like they were not feeling sentient beings, you
Agree.
know?
That you're
Um,
right. That's a wonderful point. Well, we're getting to the time for break.
mhm.
So, everyone, I've been talking with Pamela Oslie about changes in the world, glimpses of the future world that she's seen, and she has much more to share. So, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We remember a time when you could simply form a thought and it would manifest. The harmony was forgotten, but it is returning now. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia will take you on adventures through the heart and spirit, exploring who we once were and how to awaken that power today. Julia studied under the guidance of wolves, learning from their wisdom to master a higher frequency for new state of mind. Learn to master the secrets of manifestation. Visit onetrueself.com.
Want a speaker who can inspire your audience and keep them laughing and learning all in the same moment? I'm Erica Gummany, and that's exactly what I hope to do when blending personal stories, deeper spiritual insights, and practical wisdom with a whole lot of humor that keeps everyone engaged. My intention is to create safe, transformative spaces where real growth and connection happen. Book me to speak or facilitate something amazing at yourpivotalpoint.com.
Tune in to Break Free and Trust, a redesign for living with me, Jacqueline.
And me, Chris, on Transformation Talk Radio, every second and fourth Monday at 3 p.m.
Learn to connect with your intrinsic power to grow and to heal, and how to laugh at your own humanness and not take life too seriously.
Witness the field of potential that arises when you take personal responsibility and become the divine creator in your own life.
Visit theway-healing.com for more information.
There is more to life than simply surviving or even thriving. There's flourishing. High performance and quantum success coach Beth Larson helps you calibrate and elevate your life. Beth specializes in working with women who want more from their life, more energy, joy, passion, connection, and more meaning. As your coach, she will help you get clear about your life, prioritize what's important, and become a master of your energy. Visit BethLarsonCoaching.com.
You ever feel it? That whisper just beneath the surface? A deeper part of you ready to rise? At Aligned Energy, we don't just inspire change, we embody transformation. This is where high-performing women come home to themselves, where the masks fall away and the real you steps forward, powerful, radiant, and fully alive. This is Manon, energy alchemist, transformation coach, and best-selling author, guiding women leaders from burnout to purpose. Together, we will reconnect with your innate wisdom to clear energetic blocks and activate your eros and life force, awakening the sensual, sovereign self within. For the wild-hearted, For the ones ready to get clear, stop performing, and start becoming. This is your invitation to rise and step into your power, purpose, and possibility. Visit alignedenergyhealing.com to book your exploratory call or session today.
Hello, everyone. We're back. I'm Julia Griffin at OneTrueSelf.com, and I'm talking with Pamala Oslie. We're talking about the new world and the glimpses of life that we've had, which are great. Now we're going to talk about parallel universes. So, Pam, I'll just let you get started on that.
Okay, great. I want people to know that even if things look really grim, I think it's a part of our souls wanting to make sure we get the full juice out of being human, so we can elevate to the next level. It's like, okay, I did that. All right, I did that. Now we can go to a higher level. So one of the things that I see coming and leading into the parallel universes is also energy healing, right? Sound, energy healing, all of that is new, and that's coming up more and more and more. People will start seeing that their consciousness and energy can heal. It's a frequency. So one of the most powerful things I was ever shown, and physicists have been talking about it, they have evidence that they're real, are parallel universes. Now, it makes me smile because now people are starting to talk about them, but they're using a new term now called timelines. It's like, how did we switch from parallel universes to timelines? And I go, it's the same concept. So basically, we are infinite beings and we're having infinite experiences. And what they've shown, and you can go research this, look up the double slit experiment, Google Hugh Everett, and see what he discovered with these parallel universes.
Okay, let me ask you to repeat it because one, I want to write it down and look it up, and
Okay.
everyone may not have heard it. So,
Okay. So first of all, they did a double slit experiment. Now I'm going to explain it so people understand why parallel universes are a real thing. And the guy that actually, the physicist that actually discovered it and coined it is Hugh Everett,
okay,
like Mount Everett, Hugh Everett.
right, I've got it.
So just briefly, they did this experiment where they sent a photon, a single photon, which is a particle of light. They had a particle board, and they put one slit in the board, and then sent one particle of light through at a time. And on a wall outside, past the barrier partition, of course, on that wall showed a line of light as one particle at a time of light went through that one slit. On the wall, on the other side of the partition, there was a line showing of light, right, as we would expect. And then they put two slits in the partition and still sent one particle of light, one photon through at a time. Now, what they expected to see on the wall on the other side of the partition were two slits of light, or two lines of light, where the photons went through and shined light on the other side of those two slits, right? But that's not what they found. They found what's called the interference pattern. An interference pattern happens when something comes through as a wave, as waves. So if you can imagine, it's easier sometimes for people to imagine water flowing through two slits at a time. On the other side, the waves interfere with each other and they cause a trough, a dip and a peak, and a dip and a peak, and a dip and a peak. So what they saw was lines of dark, then light, then dark, then light, then dark, then light. It's called an interference pattern. They went, how is that possible? We sent through one photon of light at a time. It should have been two separate lines. They couldn't figure out when it turned into a wave, which is why they said light is both a particle and a wave. They measured that, they saw that. So what they did is they observed it. They wanted to know when it changed from a particle, a single photon, into a wave. And so they observed it, and as soon as they did that, it didn't go into waves. It went into the single photon again. And it was like, oh my gosh, maybe the human's interfering with that. So they put cameras there to measure it to see when it changed from a single photon into a wave. Every time they observed it, it behaved itself and turned into just a photon, a single photon going through at a time.
Right.
So I went, okay, so the observer is affecting, it's changing. It's almost like the photon knew it was being observed. Is that the
Well, it
weirdest way?
did. It
Yeah.
did. And it
Yes.
makes the wave part makes me think of my mother saying, well, there's always divine intervention and people can't explain that yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so then they theorized that when an observer looks at it, it collapses into one photon again. Everett went said so humans are collapsing into one reality, and that's what they're experiencing. Hugh Everett said, no, 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 no. You know what? You're observing one photon, but all those other photons that made up the wave still exist. They're
Oh,
just in
interesting.
different frequencies. They're in parallel universes. They
Right.
still exist, but we're only focused on one, so that's what we experience. So I
Hmm.
use the analogy of you can do this with television, you can do this with radio. Radio, I'm going to use radio. So right now, around you, in the room you're in, or wherever you are, there are at least 10 radio stations broadcasting around you. You don't know that those radio waves are there because you're not tuned into the frequency. But if you go to your tuner or your car radio, whatever, and turn it on, say 99.9, you're going to hear the music, the talk, the programming that's coming out of that station, that frequency. If you change it over to 107, now you're going to have a different program, a different frequency, a different music, different talk, different program coming out. Now, the frequency, the program 99.9 is still broadcasting. Those waves are still around you, but you're not tuned into them, so you don't know they exist, or you're not
You're
experiencing.
not aware, so you're not affecting them. Yeah.
Yes. Well, you're not being able to observe it or listen to it because you're not tuned into that frequency.
Hmm.
They said that's how parallel universes are working. Is if you're in a different frequency, you're having a different parallel experience. It's so wild how they're describing this, and I experiment with it, and it does work. Um, you shift into different parallel universes all the time, but we've been trained to think there's only one reality, only one universe, just like way back when they thought there was only one continent, and then
Right.
only one planet, and then only one solar system, and only
Hmm.
one galaxy. It's until we really expanded our awareness, we only thought there was one. So right now they're saying we think there's only one reality, one universe, because that's what we're tuned into and that's how we've been trained to believe. They said
Right.
every time you make a choice, a decision, and that can be wearing blue today instead of white. Okay. So you that splits off actual experience of reality, go on with your life, wearing blue that day, another aspect of you splits off and is actually having an experience where you're wearing white that day. Now, most of the subtle changes that you do like that, those realities, those universes are not going to be that different, right? So you'll
Hmm.
probably weave in and out of those very easily. But if you made a major decision, like some aspect of you decided to marry somebody from high school, right?
Right.
And another you decided not to get married at all. Those are in completely different, the universes that you're in now are really radically different. One of you is married, maybe had kids. Another you never got married, never had kids. But that's still you having parallel universe experiences. Now, anytime we've discovered something, we've been able to use them for our benefit. So, for example, we didn't know we could fly until they finally realized aerodynamics was a real thing. And now
Hmm.
we can use that to travel around the world, right?
Right.
Instead of horse and buggy or stagecoach or whatever. So now that we know that parallel universes or different timelines, different frequencies, different realities, whatever you want to call them, are real, you get to consciously, you have the ability to consciously make different choices, different energies, different frequencies to change your life. Okay. I mean, you could have moved someplace else. You could be living in Europe right now. You could be living in Asia right now. You chose not to, and one of the versions of you chose not to do that, and you're living where you live now. But if you wanted to have okay, so here's the deal, Julia. Since there are infinite number of parallel universes out there, because we're infinite, we've made
Right.
infinite choices. What are we doing in a parallel universe right now where there is a war in Iran? Okay. What are
Great
we
question.
doing that we're struggling, that people are struggling out there financially, or they can't find work, or they're afraid of AI? What are we doing in that universe?
Hmm.
Um, we believe the only one that is, but you know what? Like you talked about with nature, if we start seeing nature as flourishing and abundant and clean air and being able to take care of itself instead of suffering and being damaged and pollution, whatever we focus on, that frequency comes off of us, that vibration, we radiate that out and we manifest that, we create it, we align with that universe, we align with that parallel universe, that reality, that frequency, that radio station, that TV show, that movie. We're aligning with it. So it's like sometimes I look at this because my life is really good. I feel really blessed. I'm happy. I have a lot of freedom. I'm not worried about money. I'm not worried about most things. I'm looking at the bigger world and I go, okay, why am I doing that? Go,
Hmm.
well, having the experience maybe of watching that old consciousness start to disintegrate because people don't want wars anymore. The
No.
majority of people do not want wars anymore. And so I'm getting to experience the shift of us changing from a warlike civilization on this planet to no, 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 we want peace and harmony and beauty and kindness and love. So I feel like we're in this reality right now, Julia, to experience and choose differently to create a different experience on this planet.
Oh, I agree. Definitely so. I spend a lot of my time seeing and hearing things and then thinking the opposite. Like,
Yeah.
or in a heat wave, it's somewhere between 90 and 95 most days. But I thought, I wonder if it could just rain every afternoon, and it has been, and
Yeah.
that just takes it away.
Yeah, I've done that before too. I
Yeah.
tell the story of I went to Hawaii once on vacation. Well, I go there a lot, but I was flying there one time. And as we were landing, the pilot went, "Well, it looks like it's going to be raining here for a week." And I went, "Oh no, 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 not in, not on my vacation. It's not going to." So that night, I envisioned, nope, nope. I'm going to wake up, blue sky, beautiful energy the whole time I'm here. That next morning, it was blue, no rain. I went to the little private beach in front of the cottage that I was staying in. It was surrounded by some bushes, so it felt. And I went out there, laid down my towel. About an hour later, these people started coming through the bushes and laying on my beach. Like, well, okay, I can share the beach. That's fine. Anyway, this honeymoon couple came up to me and they went, "We have just driven around this entire island." It was Maui. We've
Hmm.
driven around this entire island. It is raining everywhere but this beach. But you
Right.
look up at the sky and it was blue sky everywhere, and they go, "We don't understand this. It's raining everywhere else but here."
Yes, please use your imagination, everyone who's hearing this. If you see fires somewhere, see it raining.
Yep.
If you're seeing lack, see tons of money flowing in, turn it around. That's your natural gift.
Yep. And I have people asking me, well, if I go to a different universe, a different frequency, are the people that I know still in there? Yeah, different versions of them. And
Hmm.
depending on how radically you've changed your life, your frequency, if you went from 99.9 to 91 point, 7 or something, it's not a huge frequency shift. The people will probably be similar. If you change radically, a lot of those people, especially if you're happier and they were not pleasant people, will fall out of they won't align with you in that universe. They'll move away or they won't contact you anymore, or whatever it is. So, yes, a lot of the same people will still be in your universe. You'll still be married to that person if you want. They might just be nicer, or your children are not drug addicts anymore or something. Do you know what I mean? It's just the
Right.
more you shift, yes, it'll still be the same people, but they will be shifted too, depending on your beliefs. If you
Right.
hold them, that's why I talk to mothers when they go, "I'm so worried about my son." He's just like, man, if you worry about him, you're sending him that picture and you're aligning with that universe. If you
Right.
imagine a universe where he's happy and healthy and flourishing, you're going to end up in that universe, and that's the way he's going to be in that universe. But if you worry about him, you're holding on to that old universe. Now, people ask me, Julia, how do I shift universes? Um, so one, being aware that you can do that. You have to believe that's possible. And you know what? That's the reason I believe we've created all this technology. We know how to change the channel on the TV really easily, or change
Hmm.
radio stations, or change podcasts. I mean, we know how to do that with the push of a button, right? Or a swipe. We need to know it's just as easy to change the frequency, the vibration that you're in, that you're aligning with. So one, you have to believe it's possible, and our technology is even showing us that it is. Um, Number two, you can't be attached to the universe that you're in. You can't be attached to the story, to the drama. You have to drop it. You have to let it go. We get very attached to our emotions, to our stories, to our dramas, Julia. And
Oh,
so
yes.
some people, but no, but this is true, but I can't. You're not facing reality. And I go, which reality do you want to face?
Hmm.
Right? So they get very attached to it. And it's like, okay, then get the juice out of it. You know, if you're in a one, there was a lot of drama, a lot of upset, a lot of struggle. You're there for a reason. It's aligned with your beliefs, your emotions, your frequency. So get the juice out of it. And when you get tired of it, when you're over it, you will shift.
Right.
Right? So
Yes.
when I see people fighting it, dealing with it, I go, oh, you're really attached to it. You're really attached to it. If you're trying to overcome it, you're working really hard not to be in it anymore. It's like, no, no, no. You just step out of it. You just align yourself with a different movie, a different picture, a different imagination. I mean, Einstein even said imagination is more powerful than knowledge because what we think we know can limit us.
And I think that's if you can get into your heart and you can get to neutral, it's much easier to let go of it.
Yes, absolutely, Julia. That was a really smart thing to say. Just going into neutral.
Yeah.
At least you're not being attached to the drama, the emotions, the anger, the pain, the grief, whatever. And there's nothing wrong with, we're here to have emotions. We're here to have feelings. We're here to have experiences. So there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. If you don't like it, I'm just letting you know that you have the option to not align with it, to not dwell in it, to not live it. Whereas there is not one universe, there is not one reality. It's infinite. You just get to change the channel. So the first thing to do, one, is to believe it's possible and that they're real, which they are. Number two is to let go of the story. Don't even talk about it to other people. Don't even talk about it to yourself. Start talking about other things. You know, find something positive. That's why they talk about the power of gratitude. You know, focus on the things you're grateful for, the things you're happy with. That changes your frequency right there. And then more of the things in that parallel universe start coming to you because you've shifted frequencies.
I think
So,
the entire world would change if people stopped telling their bad news to everyone.
well, and that's the thing is there's which world are you talking about? I mean, we
Yeah.
don't have to, that's the thing is we don't have to change the world. You don't have to change anything that's on the outside of you. That's like going to a movie, not liking the
Mhm.
movie. You don't go up to the screen and try to
Right.
change what's going on in the
Go
movie.
into the one next door with a good movie.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
let go of that. You change the movie that you're watching.
Hmm.
So you don't have to, we don't, that's the weird thing, Julia. But there are people that came here because they wanted the experience of trying to change the world, of
Right.
helping people in starving countries. I mean, that's awesome. You're here to have experiences. So have
Mhm.
experiences. And then when you're done with that, just know that you've got the freedom to choose different experiences. And by the way, that's what's helped me move a little bit more beyond judgment. Wanted to bring that up too. It's like
Good.
it's so easy for us to get into judging someone because we don't like what they're doing. And there's some certain global personalities out there that are really shining a light on that right now. Because
Hmm.
it's so easy to just judge, judge, judge. And then I go, okay, one, what am I doing in that universe? Am I choosing to have the experience, or did I just forget that I can change the experience? Number two, we're all souls here having a unique experience on behalf of all that is, or God, or the universe, or whatever you want to call the infinite intelligence. We're each here having an experience to add to that. So it's not up to me to tell somebody that they shouldn't be having a certain experience. I
Hmm.
don't know why they came here. I mean, I have a clue because of their aura colors and what that says about them. But somebody may have come here to to die prematurely in a car accident or something. Do you know what I mean? Or go
Yes.
through cancer. I can have compassion for them. I can care for them. I can do what I can to help them. But to judge them or to say you shouldn't be like that or you shouldn't think that way or you shouldn't be a red versus a blue politically, it's like, hey, this is God having different experiences here. And so it's really seeing God in everything or seeing universal intelligence in everything, having different experiences. So it's like, okay, if I don't want to have that experience along with them, I change the movie and go to where I'm not in alignment with those people, so they're
Right.
not in my movie.
Yes. So
Anyway,
we just, yeah, you just
that's a lot.
alter the frequency.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm seeing fewer and fewer of, I'm judging less, and I'm seeing fewer and fewer people that I feel a need to judge, or an
Hmm.
inkling, or a desire to judge, or an urge to judge. That's a better word. It's like,
Yes.
oh, okay, we're all having different experiences here, but we're all going to end up in the same place. We're all going to end up with this loving, infinite, universal. I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but
Yes, I've had that too. Like listening to someone when I'm buying something and I'll think, wow, they're really, and then I'll catch myself. I'm like, it doesn't matter what they really are. Leave it alone.
and we know who they really are. They're a soul here having an experience. They're an
Exactly.
infinite divine soul having an experience. And they might be happy about it, might not be happy about it. You know, if they ask me something about, well, what do you think about this? Or how do you feel? Or can you help me? Yeah, 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 I'm right there. But if they're doing their own thing, it's like, let them do their thing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter as much as it did. I don't know why, but it just doesn't. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's because I think we're starting to see the truth, that we're starting to see beyond the veil,
Right.
that this is one, all an illusion. I loved Einstein said, reality is an illusion, albeit a very persistent one.
Yes, a very persistent one. And
But we
also
wanted the,
when you're in your body and something hurts or you're exercising, it's a
yeah.
little hard to get away from it then.
Yeah, but you know what? Haven't you had that? I've had an experience where I go, God, my back really hurts. And I went, okay, well, let go of that thought, let go of that story. And I see it releasing, and it's like, oh, my back doesn't hurt anymore. Well, that was cool.
Yeah, and I've had times I thought, oh no, I'm really sick. I'm going to feel terrible tomorrow. And then I'll say, well, I'll work on myself for a little bit before I go to sleep. And then the next day I feel great. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that was weird. Wonderful,
Yeah.
but weird.
I've told people, I believe, now this is not Buddhist or anything like that, Christian, Buddhist, and Muslim. This is my belief. I believe there's only two reasons why we suffer. One, we forgot who we are, that we're these divine beings that are creating these movies for the experience. Or number two, we're choosing it for the experience.
Hmm.
When I fell and shattered my knee, boy, that's the most pain I've ever had in my life, right?
I bet.
It's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And I was in the pain for a while and I just went, all right, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts, severe pain. Then I went, okay, now why did I do this? And I go, I think I'm having the full human experience. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, now I know what that feels like. I don't need to do that again. But boy, it sure has given me compassion for people that have broken bones or knee replacements, or it's really intensified my compassion. I already had compassion anyway, but now I know firsthand.
Hmm. And you
So I'm
also
having
know
a
how,
human
yeah,
experience.
I had one hip that or side of my body that hurt constantly for like 7 or 8 years, and then it just is gone the next day. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that was weird.
Yeah. People like Anita Morjani, who basically died from cancer.
Right.
Her body was riddled with cancer. She went to a coma. She died, had a near-death experience, came back, chose to come back, and within days, she did not have one cancer cell in her body. Now, that can also be described, explained by parallel universes.
Right.
She came back with, okay, I don't need to have that experience anymore. I'm choosing a different frequency now.
Yeah. I mean, miracles like that are everywhere if people would just start to move into them a little more. And they
Yeah.
will.
Yeah. I've written a book called Infinite You, where
Hmm.
because I don't have websites anymore. I've retired, but I've written a whole bunch of books. And so Infinite You, I go into more depth about all of these things. And people can read how to I do the science part of it, I do the spiritual part of it, I do the quantum physics part of it. I'm showing people how to develop all these things. And then Life Colors is also about people's aura colors, which explains people's life purpose for coming here. Why did they come to the planet? Their aura colors reveal a lot of that. Their frequency, because the frequency they're putting off has colors to it.
Thank you so much, Pam, for being with us and sharing your marvelous mind and thoughts and energy. And I want to thank everyone who's there for tuning into the Power of Inspiration and Awakening. And I'll be back in a couple weeks. Namaste.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Join us next time as Julia takes us deeper into the memory of the moments of light where transcendence and enlightenment emerge. The memory of the jewel of consciousness is always lived within you to tap into waves of energy and create huge changes by imagining the beauty of the vision and desires that are hidden in the heart. Learn to find your way back to nature, beauty, and your own heart, which holds the secrets of your existence and future. To discover more about Julia's adventures, animal communication, and the teachings she brings to every show, visit onetrueself.com. That's onetrueself.com. That's ONE, trueself.com.